We're here at Women's Start, incredible opener, introducing you to Sigulda because we're back here for the second week. So we have all the doubles teams getting ready inside, and everybody's just excited. The ice is a little slower. Yes, come join me. I have actually a very special guest. I was asking him to come join me. You're kind of the man of the season, Christian Eigentler. Yes, you are the man of the season. Christian Eigentler, head coach from Austria. I've been wanting to talk to you, actually. I mean, we didn't have to do it on camera, but now this is perfect. Austria started out with such an incredible season. How, were you so proud of your team? And then how has the season gone from then for you?
Yeah, in Eagles we had an awesome start. This was unbelievable. Nobody was expecting that we have this start into the season. But sometimes this happens in the team when you got in this flow in the first races, and then it goes just straight up, and it was incredible. Yeah, the second and third race in Whistler and Park City, they were also good. Okay, absolute okay. The team was performing good. But last week, this was a tough one. This was a tough one, but we analyzed it good. So we worked also this week good, and we are looking very positive into the upcoming races.
Yeah. So with Eagles, for anyone that missed it, you guys swept so many of the disciplines, which was I don't know if I remember ever seeing that. I bet you were planning that the whole time.
No,
the
not really.
The night before, you were thinking, we're going to sweep tomorrow, and we're going to start the season with a bang. Yeah, you knew in your heart, huh?
Not really. You cannot expect this. So we were preparing pretty well for the World Cup in Eagles. We had special training sessions there and so on, but you never can expect such a result. And now, different track. We have to work hard. That we are coming back after last week, and cross fingers for the upcoming races.
Yeah, it's a big part of sliding is going from track to track. It's not like we're a summer sport where we just show up to play football or we show up to run around a track. Like, we have to learn to adapt to every single track. So how did you prep your team for a difficult track like Sigulda? I mean, I know when I was sliding, it was terrifying for me. So as a head coach, how do you get your team ready to go into a new week?
After last week, it's you have to analyze. You have to do video analysis. You have to do material analysis, and our setup last week was not really good, and also the sport performance from our athletes was not that good. So we took the chance to watch videos from the really good sliders, from the Latvians, from the Germans, to see what they are doing better than us. And we did this, and the training sessions let me look positive into the future.
So what did you find out from those other countries? Any secrets you'd like to share?
Yeah, secret lines. Sometimes if you go down many times, you make a mistake and you do not realize where is the mistake really in this curve. And also as coach, when you saw the line in the curve, you do not know, is he steering too long, is he steering too short?
So complicated.
It's complicated. Yeah, you have to catch the line with 130 kilometers just for 5 centimeters, and the steering points, that's so difficult to catch it really on point.
Yeah. Are you liking coaching better than when you were competing?
Yeah, now I know all sides of the sports. When I was an athlete, I was an official afterwards, and now from the coach side. So it's really good to see it from different perspectives.
Yeah. So your favorite then is coaching, because being official is kind of nice. You don't have to be stressed.
No, it's a different stress, Also during competition, during training, also during summer, it's completely different. But I like it more to work with athletes, face to face, and it's fun.
Okay, last question, because I know he has a job to do today. You're so kind to come and talk to me. What's your favorite thing to do outside of luge?
Yeah, I'm enjoying my family, the time at home. I love to go on holiday. So that's it.
Vacation. This is why we're all friends, because we all love to go on vacation. Thank you so much, Christian Eigentler. Good luck today.
Thanks.
Have fun. Super cool. I've been actually wanting to talk to him for a little bit. The Austrians, like he mentioned, came out so strong at the beginning of the year, but have really struggled here in Sigulda, especially last week. With Jonas Mueller. He came out of one of the curves, hit a wall, and his sled actually flew out of the track. It was a crazy moment for the sport of luge because I've only seen that done once, and it was like back in the 80s. So yeah, we'll see if Austria can recoup for this week. They're really talented athletes, but Sigolda has just really did them in. So we can see, I want to just get a quick view of this, these double sleds that are just waiting to go down the track. They're doing their steel temps. We can see all the runner guards are on them. So a little bit of background on what's happening with the race. So it's warmer today. It's been kind of raining this week. Last week was absolutely freezing. And so the ice is completely different. The ice is more forgiving. There's a little bit of frost on the ice. And so it just completely changes how these athletes have been approaching the track this week. So I'll have our commentators talk a little bit more about it because I believe Emily Sweeney is in the booth with Bree, but they will talk a lot more about the ice conditions and how it's changed. So my commentators in the booth, how are you guys doing? What are you feeling about the race today?
Hey, Kate LeBreton, good morning. I am here with two-time Olympian Emily Sweeney. And Emily, Kate was just talking about the weather and how it's changed since last week. Big difference.
Hugely.
So it has been raining all week. So at least in this case, do you feel like the athletes have had enough practice on this specific weather pattern to be tuned in and set up today?
Yeah, I do. I think we're fortunate. I mean, yes, we're in the same place as we were last week, but it's going to be a completely different race this weekend. I mean, the last week it was cold, it was hard ice. This week it's about the sled setups. It's about how we can kind of tune into this type of softer ice, and it's very different. But like you said, we have had it all week, so you've had a little bit of time to adjust.
So I understand, most competitors love hard ice. It's a great equalizer.
I do.
Yeah. So do you find, are there any athletes or countries that actually favor soft, warm ice? Like, have you noticed any athletes or countries that tend to fly when it's warm? Like in skeleton, we used to call it Big Girl Day.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so fly on the frost.
Right. Theoretically, weight comes more into play on softer ice. So maybe no one's coming to mind specifically, but for me, I strongly dislike it. I'm not so stoked for this weekend, but we have to suck it up, and here we are. So I'm excited to see who can kind of figure out the nuances that come into play with softer ice that we're going to have this weekend.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how Austria does. They had a tough week last week.
They did. It's out of character for what we would expect for a country like Austria, but they did have a tough week, and honestly a little bit of that carried into training this week. I trained with them this week. They're in our group.
Oh, right, so you guys you're split into 4 separate training groups.
Yes, and this week USA was paired with Austria, so we trained together, and you could just tell there's a little bit extra nerves going around, and it's easy for that to step in, especially once you've had so many issues in one spot. It's really hard to force yourself to commit to that spot and really to commit to the line. So I think we've seen that once you have kind of those bad experiences,
right,
it's so much easier to make them again.
Right, because it's counterintuitive. You're trying to get your body to relax, and all you've had is a bad week.
Right. And for me, like, I don't know, sometimes it's literally like you black out in that split moment because your body's just protecting yourself from that negative experience again. So, I mean, my coaches don't love to hear that. Like, I can't tell you exactly what happened in that moment because I had so many bad transitions there that I just want it's there's nothing to give you.
Yeah, so Emily's referring to a tough second run. She was doing very well on the race last week, and
oh yeah,
and just had and speaking of, we're going to see that a lot here, and potentially not. I watched training yesterday, and it was pretty boring. With the ice.
That's so good for us. Yes.
Yeah. So the big exit to watch was 14 last week. That's where a lot of people had trouble. So have you seen the same issues this week on this ice?
There has. I think the bigger spot for today is going to be 12-13. 12-13 has been catching a lot of people. We looked at the pictures from this week that the FIL takes, and there were some really spectacular ones coming of people with different body positions coming through 13 on their side.
Right. We can see that on the TV camera angles. And so, for those in the audience, this track, one of the things that makes it so difficult is there are very short transitions. And so if you walk the track, we're talking a transition that's like a U connected to a U, and it just goes boom, boom.
Yes.
It's very little room for error. It's shocking.
Right, and that means there's no time really in that transition to make a correction. So you have to do the work in the curves, and then you have to trust that work. So a lot of people are having trouble finding that that sweet spot.
Right, that trust. Except Latvia.
Except
On their
Latvia.
own track.
Oh my goodness. It's so much fun to see that and to cheer them on.
Yeah.
So, I'm really excited for them. I know that they're stoked, but they're along with that praise comes a little bit of extra pressure coming into a back-to-back home World Cup with the addition of European Championships. So they have the targets on their back, and I think it's going to make it exciting.
It is. I was really impressed with Bots Plume, with their composure, and they've obviously already had many years of great results as young as they are, and it was incredible to watch them on home ice, and it seemed like you could see why they do well on the podium. They just looked like they belonged there.
They loved it. They were soaking it up. They were just like sponges. Yes, 100%. I got that same vibe.
Yeah. And so, now, but like you said, now they've got the track record and the win under their belt, and just one of the toughest spots to be in is like holding onto greatness.
Right. With the addition of the different track, the conditions, I think the Germans are going to be knocking on that door really hard. I mean, the Tobies were the way that they found speed last week within the track was incredible. And I think if you're going to have the scale, a little bit of the softer ice tips it in their favor a bit, in my opinion.
Right, because if you haven't seen Latvia do especially well on warm ice, you would like to think, I don't know, I'm thinking of what it was like on home ice. Like if you're in Lake Placid, do you try and find the fastest equipment for frosty ice? Usually, no, you're just like, oh, it's a frosty day.
Right.
Darn.
Which is such a missed opportunity looking back at it, but I completely understand that. Yes, it's easy to write it off, and just with the past few years, we've had more warm weather races, so we've had to pay attention to it more and say, no, like don't scrap this one off. We really need to pay attention.
And that's why. Do you guys do your national championships at the end of the season when the ice is colder, or
we will this year? Oh. We haven't had nationals for a few years. COVID really threw a wrench in things. Right. But we are planning on having them in Park City at the end of the season.
Oh, excellent. And it's one of those things, though, because what was always frustrating for me as an athlete is you have your national championships or your team trials on preseason warm ice.
Oh, completely different.
Which typically is not like you see all season, except that we're here.
Right,
and it's raining. And the poor ski hills are on my drive here this morning. They're all melting. And I see everything melting away.
Yeah, Gore-Tex is the only way to go for shoes here right now. You will destroy every... I like to wear white sneakers, and I can't do it here.
No.
It's just everything's melting, everything's muddy. But... it's going to be a lot nicer for the people standing out watching, because last weekend was so cold. I was watching the race back, and I'm like, why am I bouncing around like an idiot? It's like, oh, because I'm so cold. It was freezing.
Just trying to stay warm. I know. You had to do when I started coaching the jump lunges for hours on end, just to try and stay warm 100%. Out there. There were so many people out here, so I'm excited to see, this crowd. Like you said, it should be a little bit more pleasant for them. And in tandem with the Westminster Sigulda Dog Show, one of my favorite parts about being here is getting to see all the dogs out by the track.
And one of the athletes has a dog. It's a golden and a corgi mix, and its name is Cooper, and it was at the start yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
I honestly had a hard time focusing. It was so adorable. It's so fun. I love it. I love the amount of dogs that come out to the track here.
Well, we've got 1 minute to air, so I think we're going to switch channels here. You should do that as well. So switch channels to the YouTube channel for the live feed, and join Emily Sweeney and myself for the first race of this weekend's European Championships. Thanks so much.